What do you
Yeah,
think
that,
about this notion that the Marshall Mathers LP3 could be dropping any day now?
I mean, we'll see what it sounds like when he drops it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's really no lead in either.
we don't have anything to go off of. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
mean, is Dre doing the production? Like he's kind of. I mean, I don't know how. I don't. Nobody really knows anything other than he might drop it any day now. I mean, he obviously is the biggest selling hip hop artist ever, so he has enough of an inherent base and following that he can just drop material. And typically, guys of his age and stature kind of typically just do that without much lead in. There's just
Right.
not really enough go off of to comment on anything. We don't even have any really music to pull from. We have his verses that he's done this year. He's obviously been more active the last couple of years, Mike. I think to a
Mm-hmm.
lot of mixed bag of results for people. And so on that alone, that's probably going to interest some people. Just like because I think a lot of the things with people like how you feel is like, oh, well, what is he really talking about, and what does he have to talk about? Well, it's like, well, let's give him an opportunity and see.
Yeah, and it seems like, with, the rapid pace of efforts that he's been coming out with, it's almost like, and you hear it in the material too, where it's like he's trying to answer the naysayers, whether that be, Charlemagne, Joe Budden, or whoever, or just internet talk. And it's like, okay, I got to prove that this last one wasn't a flop, or this next one wasn't a flop. Because what do you feel like, the music to be murdered by? I mean, what was the reception of that overall?
I felt like I gave that like a 3.5 or a 3. I don't really know what the reception was. There were about 3 or 4 records on there that I thought were really good. Like, and also too, and I want to say this, and people have to understand this. Like the era before guys like Eminem and Jay and Nas and Snoop, like those guys had more like 5 to 7 year primes, and are not even in position, like because of how the game was situated, to release material at the volume that the guys that came after them
Right, right.
did. And so, he might just be, he might just have some gas in the tank again and have a little second wind and want to make music too. It might not be about the naysayers. He might just really want to make music. It's not like he need to make music for money. He
No,
might
I
he
think
might
this
really just
era.
have gas in the tank and things he wants to say and talk about. And it's like the culture is about that too because it's a form of expression. So it's like that's why I'm like, well, we'll just wait and see what the material says.
I think that this era is very inspiring to guys who were in previous eras because again,
Like,
it's
yeah, I
so
can just
free
because
flowing.
they like because they're like, hold on, you mean I can just go in here, record these songs in a couple weeks, and then drop it like 2 weeks later?
Yeah, and I ain't got to worry about radio. I don't have to make no radio single. I don't have to do this. Yeah, cool. I can make my shit and I can just
Yeah,
put it out to the people and tweet about it and they'll listen.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very attractive, and that's why and I think that the game's in a really good place. When you got AZ dropping a quality album in 2021, and you got Nas possibly dropping album of the year, and you know what I'm saying, ain't no gas, like we're just, giving them props just because
yeah,
they are legends. They
right.
sound inspired. These are inspired sounding efforts.
And and so, and I'll say this specifically because of the albums ahead of it. Well, West Side Gun would probably be at the front of that inspiration for all of that.
I agree. I
He
agree
has
wholeheartedly.
inspired. He has inspired the prior generation that inspired him. They have returned the favor.
Mm-hmm.
And they have returned the favor in the form. And here's what I want to say about this. And here's how quick things change in a year. Well, last year it was Pray for Paris and From a King to a God and Alfredo. That's the dudes that grew up on those guys making albums better than those guys right after them, which was Nas and Busta Rhymes with KD and ELE too. But
Right.
all this year, the old dudes Nas and AZ now, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
No,
now
you're right.
that's why I'm like, well, what Conway gonna do? Where Push at? Where Kendrick at? I know y'all ain't just gonna let Nas and AZ come in life's a bitch, y'all, in 2021.
Right.
Like,
Speaking of which, man, and I know you were one of the people a couple of weeks back that said that Nas might be having the best calendar year of his career musically, and
just
in
yeah, oh, no, overall, Mike, just period. Like he is.
okay overall. Well,
I mean, musically too, Mike. If we want to talk about like notoriety,
right.
acclaim,
Well,
uh,
to add to that, he just got his own day in the borough of Queens. So he got the key to I don't want to say the city, but he got the key to the borough. they have named September 23rd Nas Day from here on out. So there might be something to what you're saying. And the fact that this could be a year, what? How many years into his career?
I mean,
27 years into his career where Nas could check off and say, you know what? This was probably the best year of my career, 2021. Imagine that.
the defense rests, Mike.
Listen, oh, you know what? And I was arguing back and forth with Ron about this the other day. He's super Jay Z fan, right? And I was like, yo, man, I think Nas done
I'm a
caught
Jay Z
Jay.
fan too. I just think Nas is better. Like people don't understand this. It's like, no, I'm a super Jay Z fan too. Like I went back and listened to Volume 1. You
Well,
know
we're
what I'm
all
saying? Like
fans
that's
of
Jay
all
Z
these
fans.
guys. We're all fans of all these guys, but he has not come to grips with the fact that Nas
He's one
has
of
caught
those.
Jay. You know what I saw today too? Because I was looking at this interview that was posted on I Used to Love Her Instagram page, and it was excuse me, it was a No ID interview on Hot 97, and they were talking about how 444 came about. Long story short, somebody wrote in the comments that Jay-Z only started working with No ID because of Life is Good. And I'm sitting there, I was like, yeah, No ID did make Daughters.
He did. Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean,
Jay,
you know, and
Jay,
shout
Jay,
out to
Jay.
Ron. Ron just need to come to grips with what's happened the last 4 or 5 years.
Jay, I know you watch the show, man. We need a record, man. I don't know if you need West Side Gun, the executive producer this time, but you got to. I think Nas done caught up with you, man. That KD2 is strong, and the fact that someone could make a case that 444 sonically is the way it is because of Life is Good. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know.
It's
I,
very problematic.
I don't know if Jay's gonna give us a better album at this point than
Mike,
KD2. I don't.
West Side is the best album maker of the last 4 or 5 years, and he didn't give us an album better than KD2 this year so far.
My thing is, and one thing that No ID said that was interesting. He said that the way Jay-Z's creative process is, he doesn't he doesn't talk about things that aren't there, right? So it's like he's not gonna come with some today's agenda. Got you know what I mean? Like some creative story and all that. Like he rarely does that. His music is about what's going on around him. And
So
with
that's why I have, like, I've always felt like Big and Nas were better because that component is in play with them. They can do Niggas Bleed, Somebody Gotta Die, Rewind, I Gave You Power, I Got a Story to Tell, The Setup. Like, they can do
well,
those
Jay Z
records.
can
Like,
give you a girls, 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 and give you Meet the Parents, you know, but it's rare because most of his music is about this is where I'm at now. His most of his compelling music is
I mean, do you
about
understand? Nas can make a greatest hits of his stories.
yeah. Well,
Like,
I don't think Jay Z's a
he has
bad
an album,
storyteller,
he has an
but
album worth of material of classic hip hop stories in his catalog. Like, you could do Nas' greatest stories.
so I was saying all that to say though, just based on where Jay Z's life is now, and if his music is inspired about what's going on around him, I don't know how interesting a new Jay Z album would actually be to a hip hop listener, because he's already kind of played that card of I'm giving financial advice. That was what 444 was. That and the relationship stuff. So, okay, now what? Where we at now?
Well, see,
We're
that's
gonna
the
talk
thing
about
about.
doing deals with
So
the
let's
NFL.
no. Let's just stick just to the storytelling aspect of it. And this is why I've said this to you. It's like when I've been like, oh, well, what does Jay have for Death Row East? Because that's a story that you can actually dance to that Nas just made in year number what? That's what I'm saying is like, no, that sounds super inspired. Like he pulled something out the hat with that. It's like that's a problem.
Well, the thing about Nas though is the fact that he's already set the tone for himself that he's a nostalgic rapper from day one. So
Right. So
if
when he's
Jay
doing
goes
Metro
out
East, there's
there,
no problem with it.
so
Right.
if Jay goes out there and starts talking about the old Rockefeller days, he looks washed up and living in yesteryear
He's always been a current
because he's
MC.
always
You're
been
right.
current, you know.
Right.
So it makes it very tough to know what he's going to be able to do next. I mean, I'm excited to know. I mean, I don't think he's retired to the point where we're not going to ever get another Jay-Z album, especially the fact that we know how competitive he is and we know that he knows in his mind that Nas may have caught him. We got another album coming, but I just don't know how, to what degree. I don't know if we're gonna get like another American Gangster or something like that, where it's like, you're talking in, film scores and parables in that way, but
Mike,
I don't
Mike,
know.
Mike, Mike. Just stop. It's a wrap.
You don't think we're gonna get another Jay-Z album?
Mike, just like even if we do, Mike, like KD2 is one of the 5 best rap albums of the last 5 years. Do you think he's about to do that?
I think he has the ability to do
And
that.
we're not
He has
talking
the
about
skill
ability. We're
set.
talking about what's going on live right now. Like, what have you seen that's any sort of evidence that he's about to do that?
Jermaine Young says BET should honor Nas with this year with the I Am Hip Hop Award. Yeah, it should. Alfonso Howard says when it comes to having nothing to say, Jay Z is worse than Eminem. Jay Z follows. Jay Z follows. He never ever leads, and never ever got Jay Z fandom. I never got the Jay Z fandom. Jay Z is not a storyteller.
This is not like a hate Jay-Z session either. Jay is still like arguably in a lot of people's eyes the greatest MC of all time. He's just not, in my opinion, based on my like what I've seen, especially lately.
Jermaine
So
Young says that didn't No ID do DOA off of the Blueprint 3. Yes, he did. He did
yeah,
a couple of
some other
things on the
stuff on there
Blueprint 3.
too, I think.
But
Didn't
the
he do
fact
some
that,
Muslim?
that No ID did the whole album, Jay-Z doesn't normally have people do the whole album. And I do think that 444 does give you undertones of Life is Good. I mean, am I off course here when it comes to like, some grown man relationship type of stuff? Because that's what Life is Good was about. It was about the divorce mostly. That's where the title comes from. That's where the
I
cover
felt like
comes from.
Blueprint. Yeah, I felt like the Blueprint 3 and Life is Good were more comparable because of the quality of both of those albums. But yeah, the grown up,
Yeah,
reflective tone on 444, it has a Life is Good type of sentiment to it. It's
it
just
does.
not there musically because that's not what he does well, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, he did his best and people liked it. I mean, I wouldn't say that's not what he
Like
does
it was him.
well, but I'll say this: the people who liked that album loved it. But I think that for some of us who are fans of Jay Z in different pockets and like hear him like in his comfortable, boisterous tone, it doesn't do the same for us. I think that's my issue with 444. It's not that it's bad. It's just that what I love Jay Z for the most is non-existent in that project, and I don't feel like some of those subtle things he does better than the big, strong, powerful things. That's why I feel like Just Blaze made his best tracks. So, but yes, I think that's enough, man. We covered a lot, man.
Yeah.
We covered a whole lot, man. All right, so the next possible album of the years that people are looking forward to seeing is possibly Kendrick dropping something. Pusha T says he's dropping this year. Am I missing anybody? Anybody?
Conway.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah, Conway's dropping. I guess because he's already dropped this year. I kind of overlooked that. Is Benny dropping this year?
I don't know. There could be some surprises. Like, Wayne and Electronica's guest appearance runs this year made me think about the possibility of maybe them dropping something before the year is over. Would
I
you
was
like to
in the
see
barber shop today, and they were ranting and raving about Wayne's little run that he has going on with his
Mike, I can't
features.
front. This is the most impressive run that he's
Hmm.
had since his run, like
I
MC
agree.
wise.
I agree.
And I'm as
He's
excited.
hungry.
Here, Mike, I'm as excited to hear a project from him right now as I have since the Carter 2 and Carter 3 drop.
I agree 100%. So I think he has something coming, and I think when he drops or when he announces that he's gonna drop, people are gonna be extremely interested in that. Do you think
Yeah.
T.I.'s dropping this year? Speaking of that era,
It's a possibility, but I don't think feature wise he's put himself on the scene enough, like for where we're at this point in the year, unless there's really like some haymakers he has on deck. But it's like, yeah, I look at Wayne, Electronica, Conway, Kendrick, Pusha T getting a project for many of those guys, a potential album of the year contenders, possibly.
I don't think it's a how do I say this? I don't think that this is a good time for T.I. to drop his final album. I think
No,
that
that's what I'm
he
saying. That's
needs
what I
to
mean. It's too
clear
late in
up
the
some
year and we haven't heard
space.
enough.
Yeah.
let all these guys do this run and then go do like your victory lap if that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think the top of the year would probably be better suited for what he's doing with a final album, like you said, so he can go and give his whole victory lap and really, if he's really gonna retire, if really get the recognition that it needs to be for his final album. But yeah, I don't think it's a good time right now. It's a lot going on, and like you said, he hasn't been appearing on enough to really make a dent in dropping right now, if that makes any sense.
No. It makes total sense. Like,
Yeah.
he's a vet in the game. I mean, like, he can check the temperature in the room too. I don't think we're going to hear anything from him unless he really feels like he has something great on hand.
Well, we need another Jay Electronica album, and I agree with you. I think with all of the rounds that Jay Electronica's making, I wouldn't be super shocked if he dropped an album. But again, we can't sit here and wait on Jay Electronica to drop an album.
I mean, not too many people can go do Ye Project and then go do West Side Project. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I
I,
don't know what's coming up new next week, but we'll definitely have a whole lot to talk about as usual. But yeah, great talking to you, man. And I'm gonna go listen to side A and B together.
yeah, I'm probably gonna like put together a little playlist,
I
make my
think
life
that's what
easier.
this was created for. I think this was created for creativity with a playlist. So it's like, yeah, you pick the ones that you want. It's a lot of
And
material.
no. It's a lot of stuff to choose from, like an art gallery, and so like we're gonna see how this art gallery of work holds up. But there's some beautiful pieces in here.
All right, man. Let's do it, man. I'm gonna holler at you next week, sir.
All right.
All right.